Let's have a conversation about studying, working, and living in Japan and our friends in Japan. Dr. Midori Daimon, who is a program coordinator, Study in Japan Global Network, joins us on the line, as well as Eugene Wanyama, who has spoken to us before, and he's a senior admissions counselor. Okay, this university, let's just call it Asian Pacific University, APU. Say it again, just Eugene. Ritsumeikan.
We call it Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University, but we'll just call it APU today.
Okay. Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University, APU. All right.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon to you both. It's morning for us.
Good morning to you.
Good to have you again. We've been talking about, the opportunities that are there for Kenyans to study in Japanese universities, and there are several universities, and this is what the job of Midori-san has been, just to make sure that people are aware of how many universities there are, what kind of programs they offer, and what is the procedure for applying to some of these universities. It's the same thing that you've been doing, Eugene, making sure that people get to understand. If I'm seeking, for example, to study in APU, what programs are being offered by APU, and then how can I apply for them? How can I get to study and work in Japan? You told us a couple of days ago that around, what is it, about 200,000, or is it 20,000 people or 2,000 people Kenyans who are studying in Japan? Give us that number again.
Actually, there are 2,000 African people who are studying in Japan. Now, Kenyan, actually now around 150 Kenyans are studying in Japan. Yes.
So around 150 Kenyans currently studying in Japan. And I think I just want to ask that question straight to you, Eugene. Why do you see Kenyans choosing to study in Japan? Why would a Kenyan choose to study and especially move to Japan?
Well, I think Japan is a very unique environment, as we mentioned before. And I think the biggest thing that I can say, especially for a young person, is access to resources. And I'm not just talking about financial resources. I'm talking about even networks. There's really easy access because, I left high school in Nairobi. And one of the things that I realized even back then was that it was, there are certain things that you had to pass a certain threshold in order to get access to. So there are certain things where there's a financial threshold. There are other things where there's an age threshold. There are other things where there's an experience threshold. But then when I came to Japan, that whole concept was turned completely on its head. There are so many things that you immediately get access the moment you come through. And in addition to that, this place is ridiculously safe. It's really, as an African, there are times when you go out into the world and there'll be places where people will not be very happy to have you there. But in Japan, people are very happy to have you over. And the possibilities here are endless, especially as a Kenyan. Right now, Japan is really trying to connect with Africa and Kenya in particular. So it's one place in the world where you can come and actually be yourself and access different things and discover how you can develop beyond whatever limitations you may have had.
Eugene, you mentioned access to certain things, access to certain tools that are not easily or readily available within, say, Kenya. Could you be a little bit more explicit and state them for what they are? This is what you're able to get in Japan, which you can't get in Kenya. This is what you're able to get, which you can't easily get in Kenya, and so forth.
Okay, so for example, let's start first of all with so we're talking about universities.
Yes.
Let's talk about for instance, the cost of education overseas, regardless of where you go, is probably going to be a little bit more costly than at home. Many people would have different prices for locals, different prices for foreigners, etc., etc., etc. There are some countries which have been a lot more affordable, and Kenyans have traditionally gone to those as well. But in Japan, as a Kenyan student, you have a lot of access to scholarships as well. And that's not just based on need. It's based on your ability to prove yourself. And then other things. So, for example, there are certain tables that you cannot really get yourself into. So, for example, things like government, business. You'd not in Kenya as a 19-year-old, the chances of you to be sitting with the CEO of a global company is really not something that can happen that easily. But then I've seen quite a number of universities here in Japan. They would actually try to bring you as close as possible to those people so that you develop your thinking. So you'd be sitting there with the CEO of a company like, let's say, Fujitsu, Sony, etc., and that's something that you would not ordinarily have access to even in Kenya. And then the other thing is employment. So one of the best things about studying in Japan is that you get a lot of opportunities for part-time work and other things, which prepares you for the actual practical sense of work that you're going to be doing when you graduate. And in Kenya, to be honest, tarmacking can be quite an issue. It can take a really long time for somebody who's gone through university or even going through university to get something to do. But here in Japan, it's really easy access. People actually want you to do stuff. So, the moment you get here, there's a lot of people pulling you here and there, trying to find, asking you for your time. Actually, time management becomes a major skill because there are just so many opportunities and people keep dragging you in all directions, trying to give you access to all kinds of things.
Thank you very much. This one I want to ask Dr. Midori. Is there a threshold, is there a ceiling as to how many people Japan will actually allow to apply for scholarships or apply for university places or apply for work in Japan?
Oh, okay. About applying for scholarship, actually there's mainly the Japanese government who covered scholarship, and also other scholarship is funded by universities itself. So I have to say that the Japanese government scholarships opportunity is not so many, but university has many scholarships opportunities they are arranging. So I can't say that the right number this time, but you can most of the foreigners, international students, and also Kenyans get those financial assistance from universities, or sometimes like private companies or private associations they get.
Okay. Is there an age limit for those who can actually apply for to study in Japan or to work in Japan?
Okay, about the scholarship, Japanese government scholarship, there are the age limit that's younger than 35 years old. So you have to, when you apply, you have to be younger than like 34 years old. But other scholarships, they set the limit, but sometimes they don't have the age limit. It's information about scholarships. But about working is mostly they don't limit the age. And when you are studying, that student visa allows you to take a part-time job, maximum 28 hours per week. So you can get some work experience in Japan while you are studying in Japan.
Okay. What courses is, and I guess it's a question for both of you, maybe starting off with you, Eugene. What courses then would you say are the stars that Kenyan students would then be able to, or the prospective students would be able to look to and say, yes, I would get a quality education in this course and then be able to work thereafter?
Well, there's a really big range, as we mentioned. So you've got, I would say there are some really good science universities in Japan. And especially if you're going to do things like physics, astronomy, etc. But just to talk about what I've seen in my setting at APU, we've got two major areas. Actually, I have it here in the poster thingy. So we've got Bachelor of Social Science, which will cover culture, society, and media, environment and development, hospitality and tourism, and we've also got international relations and peace. And then for our business-related courses, we've got marketing, accounting and finance, innovation and economics, and strategic management and development. So those are, if I was to just categorize them, I would say business and social science at my university. But in terms of career prospects, they actually fan out to a lot more, because I think we're going to talk a little bit about careers in Japan. But careers in Japan, just to kind of like a precursor to that, in Japan, the way we look at career development is very similar to how we look at university admissions, in that people would look at your ability to learn within the field. So, for example, I have friends who have done things like, sustainable development. That's within the environment and development field. And they've gone on to be really high-profile marketers in, let's say, Nissan Fujitsu. I mean, the CFO of Dell Japan is actually a Kenyan who went through this system, and through different experiences, different work and education experiences, he was able to build a very unique career profile. So it's to a certain degree. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going beyond the question scope, but to a certain degree, what you study will help you to get into a specific career path. But if you want to extend beyond that career path, in Japan, it's actually possible to look for something that's slightly beyond what you studied as well.
Right. Is the job market tailored to take in what students have been studying in school, or is there just an influx of people who've studied a certain thing and then hoping that they will get a job? So is the job market looking at, all right, we've got these schools around the country, and this is the output that we are getting in terms of degrees, learning. So I guess, are we asking that there's guaranteed work for you should you finish at a Japanese university? And we won't have engineers stuck, for example, flipping burgers kind of thing.
Yes. So first and foremost, flipping burgers and things of that sort, I know this was just an example. That's things that students happily do as part-time work.
Oh, for sure, while they're in
school,
school,
going to travel all the way across the...
Yeah,
if you're going to travel across the globe to get a career, I would definitely not recommend going for the low-hanging fruit. So if you're going to learn something very technical, if you're going to learn something like medicine, things like that, then you definitely then get into that market. And they're very specific within the market for whom they look for. Now, the tarmacking process in Japan is very different from what it is in Kenya, and I would say the rest of Africa, and actually a lot of other countries, in that students are usually guaranteed a job within their third year of university. So the universities, not just AP, but other universities as well, give you guidance on how to prepare yourself for careers. And for example, in our case, our career success rate is at over 90%, and it's been that way for over 10 years. And in terms of the scope of the jobs, because, one of the things about Japan is that it's an aging society. It's an aging society and also a financial giant globally. So you've got all these multinational companies, you've got all these really big corporations who are looking to nurture the next generation. Now, the reason why they'll be a bit more flexible in terms of what you've learned compared to other places is that people tend to kind of develop habits, and they could be good or bad habits. So, for example, if you go to, let's say, Nissan, the way they operate their marketing strategy is not the same way as Toyota does, even though they're all in the automobile industry. So they want somebody who's fresh and who is able to be molded into the structure that the company is comfortable with. And then whatever skills you then get from there, you can either move them on to a different career, or you can ascend the ladder within the structure of that specific company that you got in.
What's the cost of living like, living in Japan? So you're saying go study in Japan, you stand a chance of getting a job in Japan, you stand a chance of even working in Japan. What's the cost of living like? And if you compare that to how much a freshly employed, freshly graduated employee would be earning. I'm asking this because you've got to remember, Eugene, that you left people home, and as a Kenyan, you'll always be considering that you are sending some money back home. Do you have enough? Will you be earning enough to actually leave and be able to spare some to send back home?
Yeah. So first of all, to be able to live 100%, even as a student, the opportunity. So, for example, let's say as a student, you'd be earning about if you're teaching English, for example, that's a relatively lucrative job. You'll be getting about 2,000 bob an hour. And other jobs would give you about 850 is the lower scale, actually. So it's a minimum wage for part-time jobs. When you get up to when you graduate from university, the starting salary would be somewhere around 200,000 yen or shillings, because they almost correlate. And in terms of just monthly expenses, so it completely depends on the individual, and also depends on where you live. So, for example, if you're living in a city like Beppu, where I'm living, you can easily get accommodation at 20,000, 30,000, something as low as that. If you want to move on to a place like Tokyo, you'd then be paying rent of maybe 70,000, 100,000, something of that nature. So there's quite a jump. But in terms of compensation, in Japan, you'll definitely have enough compensation to be able to take care of your living. Now, when it comes to beyond that, taking care of your family, doing everything, building yourself beyond that, then you have to also be very strategic about the company that you take. Because the amount, in certain cases, there are certain places where they have different benefits, and there's a lot of potential for growth as well. So if you're strategic, it takes a lot less effort in Japan to get a job that will really set you off well than it would in Kenya. And then also, as I say, Japan is also trying to connect to partners who can go and set up in Kenya as well. So that's something that we've seen a lot of people do, where they'll come and get a job with a Japanese company and then get them to relocate to Kenya. And chances are you could even be sent in as a general manager or something of that sort at a very young age.
Dr. Midori, I want to ask this question, and let me give a background first before I ask it. The contribution that Japan has made to this country, especially through JICA, has been overwhelming. It's just that I think I get the impression that the Japanese don't like blowing their own horns or letting people know exactly what they have done. But if I look at the coast and I look at how it is they have built 4 bridges, beginning with Sabaki, then Kilifi, Mtwapa, Nyali, and now there's the Mombasa Gate Bridge that they want to build to actually connect mainland Mombasa and the island. These are monumental projects. Okay. Monumental. Many Kenyans don't even know about it, but they're monumental. Now, when it comes to the issue of education, not higher education, just basic education, does the Japanese government and their Ministry of Education, is there something that they have done or hope to do to help the Kenyan Education Ministry upgrade or improve their system of education to mirror something that has the sort of standards that Japan has?
Okay, thank you very much for your inquiries. Actually, through JICA, there are some assistance to Kenyan primary education, such as they are dispatch the teachers from Japan, and they are giving some knowledge and techniques to primary education. And also, of course, this project is also we are improving. We'd like to improving the relationship between higher education in Kenya and higher education in Japan. So universities relationship we also want to promote, and this project is funded by Japanese government. And also we have through the same JICA program, the scholarships called the Abe Initiative Program. This program also very big opportunities for scholarships program. So through this program, many Kenyan people who is from public sectors and also the companies, they went to Japan and get a master degrees, and then they went back to Kenya and to contribute Kenya in their company or public sectors. So this is also our one of supports to education sectors.
Do you have any idea how much the Japanese government has done to support primary school education?
Oh, sorry, right now I don't. Sorry, I don't have the,
Okay.
the enough information.
I know we will
sorry.
be talking to you again, and I will ask the same question again then. Yes.
Dr. Midori Daimon, thank you very much for talking to us today. Dr. Midori is the program coordinator for Study in Japan Global Network. You had just tell us a bit, Midori-san. You had the
Yes.
video conference last week, where a number of people are, wanted to learn about the science programs being offered. How was the attendance? Was there good attendance for that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got some attendance from Kenyans, so we are very happy to get this opportunity to promote our activities. And actually, next month in March also we have webinars for Kenyans. So especially we are targeting Kenyans, so we would like to the listener to check our website, www.studyinjapan-africa.com. If you go to that website, you can get the information about webinars. This webinar this time is dedicated on graduate studies in engineering, science, agriculture, and technology, which is very attractive to Kenyans, I hope.
That's actually very, very attractive. So www.studyinjapan-africa.com. That's a website to go and check and see all the programs that are being offered by various universities in Japan. And as a Kenyan, then you also stand a chance to go through that graduate and postgraduate degrees and undergraduate degrees. Thank you very much, Eugene Wanyama as well. Sorry, Eugene, you know the name goes into Malwa. I beg your pardon. You get that a lot, right?
Yes, a lot.
Eugene Wanyama is the senior admission counselor at the Asia Pacific University, APU, and it's the other name is it's Ritsumeikan. Ritsumeikan Asia and Pacific
correct.
University, APU. Asanteni-san, have a lovely day, and we'll be speaking to you again soon.
Sorry, if I can just add real quick.
Yes.
We're also going to have a webinar tomorrow at 2 p.m. So if anybody who is interested to learn more about Japan, specifically for Kenya, go to r.apu.jp/254, 254 as in Kenya. So r.apu.jp/254, tomorrow 2 p.m.
Okay. And this will now be conducted by APU, and it'll be for all the courses that APU is offering.
That's correct, yes.
Asante sana. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a lovely day.
And same to you. Thank you.